to share a little story about the most terrifying thing that I've ever had to navigate in my own life, which is, of course, the dating scene. Now, up until very recently, I have been historically very unlucky in love, and my dating history reads more like a cautionary tale than anything else. So, in that spirit, I thought that I might share about a particular dating disaster in the hopes that any other hopeful singles out there might learn the many lessons that I had to learn without actually having to go through all of the mistakes that I definitely made. So, who is ready for a crash course in what not to do while trying to survive in the dating world? Let us begin. So the event in question was about, like 10, 11-ish years ago. I was still living in New York, Astoria, Queens, to be exact. And I was looking for love in all the wrong places, mostly Tinder. And I remember I got a notification that I had a new message from a Tinder match. I opened the app. And I remember thinking, I'm not sure why I swiped right on this profile in the first place. And given the chance, I don't know that I would swipe right again, but apparently it's something I had done, and it looked like my bed was made, and I had no choice but to lie in it. Because, what was I going to do? Unmatch him? Then he would know. He would know that I looked back at his profile and did not like it. That could hurt his feelings. And what if he was a nice man? I couldn't hurt the feelings of a maybe nice man. That would devastate him. He must not recover from that. Okay, right off the bat, my friends, lesson number 1. If you are connected to a stranger on the internet and you find that stranger to be off-putting in any way, you should not stay connected to that stranger on the internet. Block, delete, unmatch, whatever. It's fine. They'll be fine. Do you know how I know? Because to them, you are also a stranger on the internet. You're not important enough to them to devastate them in any way. So just get out of there and you can both move on with your lives, no harm, no foul. Okay, this had yet to be made clear to me, and I, a chronic people pleaser, did not unmatch this man. I instead responded to his message. Turns out he also lived in Astoria, Queens. So we're just chatting back and forth about like where should we meet up, whatever. So he suggests this really popular pool hall that happened to be next to a great Thai restaurant, really happening part of the story now. So he asks, do you want to play pool, get dinner, or do both? Now, I absolutely despise playing. It's like my least favorite thing to do ever, tied with all other sports. So I said, let's get dinner. And then he said, let's play pool first and then get dinner. So I said, okay. Lesson number 2. If you are invited to participate in an activity that you absolutely despise, you can decline that invitation. You can. You can say things like, no thank you, or I don't like that. In fact, it should be noted that about 2 years ago, my current boyfriend asked me very early on in our dating life if I wanted to play pool, and my answer then was a resounding hell no, I hate it. And we're fine. He's sitting over there somewhere. He's fantastic. Are you good? Yes. Oh no, we're good. We mostly worked around it. Okay. So I agreed to play pool, and I'm waiting very begrudgingly in this pool hall for my date to show up. I'm not sure of his name. Sorry to be clear. It's not that I forgot his name. I haven't, no. It's just that when I saw his name written in the profile, I had never seen that name before, so I wasn't sure how to pronounce it correctly. And I was very worried that I was going to say it wrong, and then I would look stupid and I would feel embarrassed if he would make me offended. So I came up with a foolproof plan. When I met him, I would say, "Hi, I'm Katie." And then he would say, "Hi, I'm so-and-so." And so we kind of say it, problem solved. Okay. So it's the night of the date, I'm in the pool hall, and I see this guy approaching on the stairs. Also, I noticed he's wearing this weird, skinny, like, black backpack. So he walks over to me, and I say, "Hi, I'm Katie." And she says, "Let's get a table." And I said, "Nothing else." I just want the rest of the evening not addressing this man by name, hoping he would at some point refer to himself in third person. Lesson number 3. There's nothing wrong with saying very directly to someone, "Would you mind telling me the correct pronunciation of your name? I just want to make sure I have it right." That's not weird. That's not rude at all. Do you know what is both of those things? Spending an entire evening with someone whose name you don't know. That is insane. So I follow so-and-so to this pool table, and he takes off his weird backpack, and he opens it, and he takes out his very own personal, collapsible pool cue that he brought with him on his person from his house. And I was just like, oh. Like it was bad enough that I was being forced to play a game of pool in the first place, but now I'm playing with Mr. Billiards is my middle name. Could have been his first name. So, as you can imagine, we proceed to play the most insufferable game of pool I have ever endured. Mr. Billiards is like trying to teach me the strategy and like show me technique and correct my form. And I can tell I'm supposed to be like really impressed by his skill and expertise, but I honestly, it could not have cared less. And finally, to his credit, I think he started to alone, and he was like, "You are not having fun, are you?" And I was like, "I'm really not." So he was like, "Okay, no problem. Let's go get dinner." Now, it should be stated, at this point in my dating career, not my first time at the rodeo, okay? I had been on enough first dates to know pretty early on if I would be interested in a second, and I could just tell right off the bat, this was not a love connection. But, if you remember, I had already agreed to play pool and then go to dinner. And what? Was I just gonna like change my mind? Right then and there, he would think that I was not a woman of my word, that I didn't follow through on the things I said I would do, and he would also know for sure that I was not interested, and that would hurt his feelings. It could devastate him. He might not recover from that. So, lesson number 4. Do not make 2-part plans with people you don't know. Always give yourself an out, okay? As soon as you have the information you need and you're a no, get out of there. Wrap things up. Do not order a second drink, and under no circumstances should you follow them to a second location. So I followed him to a second location. And to be fair, dinner was fine. It was. The food was good. Conversation was interesting. He really was like a nice guy. He just wasn't my guy. So finally, we wrap things up. Dinner's over. We head outside. And lo and behold, the skies have opened. It has begun to rain, which is a major bummer for a New York City commuter who does not have an umbrella and is wearing the wrong shoes. So I think my date senses my dismay, And he asks how I plan on getting home. So I explain the odyssey that I had ahead of me. I have to walk 5 blocks to the subway station. I have to take the train all the way to the end of the line, and then walk another 15 blocks to my apartment.
Yes.
Not the greatest commute under the most ideal circumstances. It was absolutely brutal in bad weather. And remind you, this before Uber was like everywhere, and cabs in the storage lanes were few and far between, and there were the black cars that charged you more when it was raining, they only took cash, and I didn't work at cash. So really, genuinely, my transit options were very limited. So my date says, well, my car's around the corner, I can give you a ride home. And I was genuinely touched. I thought that was such a kind and generous offer. I was like, are you sure? It was like, yeah, it's not a problem. So I graciously took him up on his invitation. So we walk around the corner, we get into his car, I start telling him, where to go to get to my place. He pulls out of the parking lot, and then the mood shifts. Things in the car get really quiet. I kind of noticed him tense up a little bit. And just got his eye is locked straight ahead. He doesn't even glance at me. And just says, so, do you always get in cars that then you don't make fun of? And my heart stopped. And my blood ran completely cold. And the only thought in my head was, this is how I die. Which brings us to lesson number 5, which we all should have learned in kindergarten. Do not get into cars with strangers. So there I am, just paralyzed in fear. And now my mind starts racing like a million miles a minute. I start thinking like, oh my God, where is he taking me? What is he going to do? How long will I missing before people start looking for me? Where are they going to start to find me? They don't know who I'm with. I don't even know who I'm with. What happens when my body is not disturbed? Will my family ever have closure? Will they look for me forever? I mean, like, I just went completely down the rabbit hole to worst case scenario, and now I'm like, I gotta get out of this situation. How do I get myself out of this situation? My first thought is just jump out of the car. So I considered that briefly. But at this point, we're cruising down Steinway Avenue, which is a pretty busy city street. And my thought is, okay, will I survive the impact, like throwing myself onto the pavement? And if I do, I'll immediately get run over. So that doesn't really feel like that. So I don't pull myself out of the car. I just stay. I don't do anything. Because yes, while I was worried about the oncoming traffic, if I'm being honest, I was also worried about something else. I was worried I might be overreacting.
That's the time.
And what if I started screaming or trying to open the car door, and then this man would know. He would know for sure what I was thinking, that I thought he was a psychotic murderer. But what if he really was just trying to be nice and give me a ride home and spare me a walk in the rain? That would absolutely hurt his He would for sure be devastated. There is no way he would recover from that. Which now brings us to lesson number 6. And this is an important one. If there is any part of you that feels more comfortable prioritizing the feelings of your potential murderer, then you are prioritizing your own safety. Therapy might be a great fit. Truly, that line of thinking should be unpacked at great night with a mental health professional. Now, aside from throwing myself out the movie vehicle, there were probably other options available to me. I probably could have been like, oh, I need something at CVS, drop me off here, or maybe given in fake directions to some random building and just gotten out there. I'm sure there were a million other ways that I could have played this that would have been preferable to what I actually did, which was continue to give him directions. But in my defense, I just remember feeling incredibly relieved when I said turn left, and she did turn left. Because in my mind, he's taking me to some remote kill zone, right, that I don't know about. So the more he's going where I tell him to, the safer I actually start to feel. So we finally pull up to my apartment building, and I'm like, okay, I just have to get myself from this car to my front door. So I open the door, I get out, he opens his door, and he gets out. And then he intercepts me on the sidewalk. And again, I just freeze. And then he very slowly approaches me and puts his arms around me and just pulls me into the most awkward hug. Because I am frozen, I am not putting him back. So he's just holding me there. And I'm like, okay, I just gotta get him this hug. Just gotta get him this hug. It's gonna be over any second now. But it wasn't. It kept going. For a long time. Like a really long time, like an uncomfortably long time. And just when I was like, there is no way this could possibly last a second longer, he slowly starts to rock me. So now I'm just caught in this never-ending sidewalk sweaty. And now I start thinking, like, maybe he should have killed me. This somehow feels worse. So after an absolute eternity, he releases me from his grip, and she says, "Damn. So, does this nice long hug mean I get to see you again?" There was no English at all involved in my response. I believe my direct quote was,
Oh my
I slammed my
God.
front door behind me, I double locked it, and I did that thing that you see in the movies where you like throw your back against the door, just like, oh, my heart was beating so fast. But I finally let out this huge sigh of relief, and I was like, oh, I made it. I survived that. Until it dawned on me that this man now and forever knows who I am. I don't know his name, but he for sure has my address. So lesson number 7, okay? If you have ever, even for a fleeting second, been creeped out so badly by someone that you start to imagine your own death at their hands, do not troll them unmasked to your front door. But I hadn't. The damage was done, and I didn't know what to do about that. I didn't know what to do about the fact that this unhinged, maybe dangerous man just knew where to find me whenever he wanted, so I did the only thing that I could think of. I moved to Florida. And I would love to tell you that things in my dating life got much better after that. They did. I'd like to at least say that I never made any of those same mistakes again. But I did. I would at least like to tell you that that was the only time that I was ever on a date with a man where I feared for my physical life. That would also be a lie. No, the truth is, of all of my epic dating disasters that have happened to me, this is the story that I'm least embarrassed to share. And I have told many variations of this story over the past decade, and what I do this thing you may not have noticed. It is very subtle, but sometimes like humor. Deflect when things feel uncomfortable. And while it did take me longer than I care to admit to finally learn all of those lessons, I am very proud to tell you that eventually I did. It wasn't easy, and it took a lot of self-work. It took a lot of growth and healing and turning inward and understanding what was going on inside of myself that drove me to make these mistakes over and over and over again. And I had to heal those deep wounds, and I had to develop so much insight and self-awareness and self-compassion and self-respect, and I had to build so much courage to finally start doing things differently. And it was a very long road that brought me from that sidewalk in Astoria, Queens, to this place where I stand today. But from this place, where I stand a little bit older and a whole lot wiser, I have to tell you that when I do look back at this story, I don't really find it funny. In fact, it makes me quite sad. Because when I think of that younger version of myself, I just see a woman who's so scared of everything. She was so scared of not being liked. She was so scared about hurting other people. She was so scared of making mistakes that she just ignored red flags, and she bit her tongue, and she dismissed her own feelings, and she second-guessed her intuition, and she said yes to things that she did not want to say yes to, and she stayed way too long at places where she was not comfortable, and she ended up in a situation that was scary. And that breaks my heart. And it also makes me very angry. Because as far as I know, no one has ever died from hurt feelings or a bruised ego. But the same, unfortunately, cannot be said for way too many who ignored the red flags, who kept quiet, who discounted their instincts just so that they could keep the peace, or not rock the boat, or not make a scene, or not be difficult, or not, God forbid, be liked for 2 seconds. And is it hard and is it scary to stand up for yourself sometimes? Absolutely. And is it possible that some people might get upset or unfairly judge you if you? Yeah, that's possible. And is there a chance that you might make some mistakes sometimes and be left with a super cringy and embarrassing story to tell as a result? Maybe. But if you are home, safe and sound, with enough breath in your lungs to tell said story, then my friends, that is a chance well worth taking. So if you take nothing else from this cautionary tale, please take this, your final and most important lesson. Above all else, make the hard choices. Make the scary choices, as long as they are the choices that do ensure that you get home safe and sound in one piece with enough breath in your lungs so that you can keep telling your story. Thank you.